is threatening.
Week here on NFL Live, the play of the year will be announced the night before the Super Bowl at the NFL Honors in Atlanta. And if you've been paying attention this season, there probably won't be much debate amongst the fans who vote for the award on what the top play of the year is so far. So let's count down the top 10, starting with, all right, Rams Saints. Jared Goff throws to a wide-open Malcolm Brown. Brown gets by two defenders, somehow stays in bounds to score the touchdown. Jeff is pretty good.
Look at the body control. To be able to get both your feet back and inbound and then have the wherewithal to reach the ball out. What an incredible display of athleticism. I don't think I was ever that athletic in my life, and that's something God given right now.
Huge big toenail. Steelers Bucks on Monday night, and Roethlisberger to Vance McDonald, a stiff arm on Chris Conley on his way to a 75-yard touchdown.
Oh, Lord, I remember so many people talked about that on Twitter the day after. You know, it was a little bit brutal, but good for the tight end.
I love it.
I love it. Jags Pats at number 8. Blake Bortles to Keelan Cole, the incredible one-handed catch.
That was amazing.
Watch this.
Body control. Look at this.
Look at the. Are you kidding me? We got to check gloves. I'm just letting y'all know.
Yeah.
I mean, man, my word, what a catch.
That was one of the best catches, but it wasn't as good as this. Dak Prescott under pressure to Cole Beasley.
The throw in.
Cole
Beasley, the rapper.
And the situation.
Yeah, 4th and 15. The knee down, the catch.
For the game.
Oh, yeah.
Number 6, Seahawks Panthers. Chris Carson runs up the middle and flips over Eric Reed. And then the best part, of course, is the landing.
Mary
Sticks
Lou
the landing.
Yes. Oh, my gosh.
With shoulder pads.
How scared do you think you are? How scared are you when he flips you over like
Another impressive run here, Eagles-Cowboys. Zeke Elliott hurdles over Trey Sullivan to get the first down.
I mean, that was just all about the extension. You know what I mean?
But here's the deal. How can he be this high? Because he ends up falling down himself.
His mom was a hurdler. That's why. It's in the blood. It's in the blood.
They should have just cut it.
Patrick Mahomes was so good, we gave him 2 spots.
Okay.
So this time, being chased by Von Miller and then, the lefty.
That's pretty cool.
On Monday Night Football.
That's pretty cool.
that was early in this tremendous season.
Yes. Vision.
And then, the no-look had to be here.
I was there for that.
Oh, my word.
Listen, I still think he'd rather go to the Super Bowl than win top play. But
listen, and you tell defensive players to watch where he's looking. Hey, follow his eyes. You can't follow his eyes. Don't do it.
At number 3 is Dolphins-Texans. DeAndre Hopkins makes a one-handed catch with his left hand and then hangs onto it by putting it between his legs.
I mean, that's just baller status.
Yes.
I mean, remember, there's a big debate after this if this was better than the Odell catch on Twitter.
Absolutely.
He was also called for pass interference in that one, but who cares? Jags Titans, Tennessee, backed up to their own one. Derrick Henry breaks through, stiff arms 3 defenders on his way for a 99-yard touchdown.
Well, it's really the hair sticking out the back of the helmet, tracking his way. To me, that's the best.
Remember that? Remember, he had 238 yards and 4 touchdowns in that game.
Yeah, give it to him. Let him, you still got it.
That's unbelievable. Listen, to run 99 yards without getting caught is impressive. Much less than knock 3 dudes down.
Right. The Miami Miracle, of course, is number 1. Tannehill, Kenny Stills, to Devontae Parker, to Kenyon Drake, and Drake everybody does the rest. Everybody misses.
Gronk! No!
I mean,
that's why we play offense, baby.
Phil Sharp caught
That's why we play offense.
He didn't work on his tackling drills.
Look at second.
Oh.
Kenyon Drake threw the ball into the stands after that, and then he realized, I really wanted it back, put it out there on social media that he wanted it back. No go. The ball wound up in auction.
Oh, that's terrible.
How much do you think it got?
You built me up. You built me up. I was thinking somebody's going to do the right thing.
How much do you think it got? What's your guess? What do you think?
Let's say $4,500. How much?
$18,000.
That's what I'm saying.
$18,678.
You spent $18,000 for a ball?
Some people out here got bread like you.
For a team that didn't make the playoff? Come on, man. They must be Patriot haters. I'm keeping 18 grand back here in that pocket. Come on.
Didn't have to do what
some people have
it had to be.
Old money.
Yeah, that must be different money.
An investment, because later on,
that's a very strong possibility.
Okay, later on, we're going to talk about the top prospects for Comeback Player of the Year. Stick around for that. Right now, we have press coverage courtesy of our Adam Schefter. He tweeted this morning that former Giants defensive coordinator and head coach Steve Spagnuolo has emerged as the favorite to replace Bob Sutton as the Chiefs defensive coordinator. Spagnuolo and Andy Reid work together in Philadelphia, share the same agent, and have a mutual respect for each other's works. I'm going to say all those pieces seem to fit together. That makes more sense. Sorry, Rex Ryan. It sounds a little bit more like the right fit, doesn't it, for Andy Reid? Just my opinion.
I know this. Andy Reid's going to do what Andy Reid feels like. And I don't know when that'll happen or who it'll be, but, you know, Andy's a tremendous coach. And I think the fact that in any coaching hires, you like to be around people you've been with and spent time, understand how they're going to react in pressure moments. And Lord knows there's lots of pressure moments in the National Football League. So
I agree with, and I think this is a tough firing for Andy. I mean, you talk about Bob Sutton and what he has meant and how long they have been together. I mean, I think people forget oftentimes how relational our business is. You're talking about spending 330 days with the same guys every day, going to work and doing those things. I think it's tough, and I think we may be putting the cart before the horse here of how fast this may. Maybe it does happen fast, but I would think for Andy, he would take some time. This was not an easy just a, hey, it didn't work. You know what I mean? I think that part of it we need to talk about.
Josina's going to have more of that when we go upstairs for a cup of Joe, because it is a very, obviously, you know, it's a long-time personal thing, and Andy really protected him for quite a long time, too. You know, he's his guy. Yeah. But let's talk about this in terms of more of a bigger picture. The regular season ended. There were 8 head coaching vacancies, and then so many more openings, offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator. Like, what's your read into that?
Well, I've just been talking to so many people around the league just reacting to how this hiring cycle has just gone on so many multiple fronts, whether you're just looking at copying the model that happened in California with McVay, which obviously people are going to say is fruitful. He's now in the Super Bowl, and then having a veteran head coach to, you know, having 5 of those vacancies come as a result of African-American coaches losing their jobs, and whether that's being replaced. We're having one right now with Brian Flores presumably taking over the job in Miami. But also another underlying trend has just been how much people are talking about how the power of the agents behind the scene driving who is filling these jobs. You're talking about right now Zach Taylor presumably being the next head coach of the Cincinnati Bengals. And the names that you're hearing coming up with that, whether it be Mike Nolan to fill defensive coordinator, or whether it be Jack Del Rio and the connection between the agent associated with that. You mentioned that right now also with the Chiefs. So sometimes, yes, the conversation is you want to be familiar. You want to have a coach that you feel like you can be shoulder to shoulder with, know how they're going to react in pressure situations. But the question I'm also hearing is sometimes who you're familiar with the best to actually fill the position. And also, you're having coordinators out there who didn't necessarily do as well as a coordinator, like, let's say, Mike Vrabel, who the year before he was in Houston, it was ranked #1 with the Houston defense. The next year was 20th, still became the head coach of the Tennessee Titans. And then you have coordinators still out there like Marquand Manuel, took the Atlanta Falcons to their best defensive ranking in 20 years, obviously lost some players, similar drop in defense, although better when Deion Jones came up, still out there waiting for a job. Chris Richard, you know, didn't get the job, what have you. So these are the things that you're hearing when it comes to the conversations behind the scenes in terms of what's fair, what's right, how much of it is a meritocracy, how much of it's relational, how much of that is fair. But no doubt about it, by the end of the season, we're all going to be able to see what it is, because nothing defeats what the record is at the end of the day in black and white.
Well, there's no question it's been a crazy hiring cycle in my estimation, and just as about as diverse as you can get. I mean, shoot, if you had a cup of coffee with Sean McVay, you've got an interview. All right? I mean, I'm being facetious, but in reality, that's kind of true. And then on the flip side of that, you got a guy like Vic Fangio, who I hired in Chicago a couple years back, that's been a 32-year-long assistant, finally gets an
all of a sudden he's a genius.
Yes. Right. So, look, it's been like that. This league's been trendy for a long time. You know, we'll just see how it works out. The bottom line is you got to win, and you don't have that long to get it done.
Yeah, Josina, I think you brought up a number of great points. One in particular, talking about agents and how those things and how much push and pull they have. But it's no different in our business, right? In the TV business, whatever business you're in, there are certain players that you know, they have groups of people and they're going to push their agenda and they're going to get it, whether it's coaching, TV, you name it, any business you're in. So all of those things relationally matter, and how familiar you are or are not with someone does make a difference. But if somebody vouches for them that you trust, you may be more willing to take an interview with that person or have them on your staff. All of those things fall in. I agree with you. I think so much of it is right timing. Like to Vrabel's point, to Manuel's point, like you're talking about, you have top defenses and then things out of your control, whether it be injury or players moving on, whatever it is, all of a sudden you dip in to 20th or whatever it is, and now you're all of a sudden not a good coach. And it speaks to the Vic Fangio thing, is guys, 32 years, no one's ever mentioned for a head coach job or very minimally, and all of a sudden he's the guru because of Chicago. Khalil Mack had a lot to do with that. Whether you like, and I love Vic Fangio. It's no disrespect to him,
that's
but
a great point.
Yeah, players matter.
It's about
Absolutely.
players, not
having guys come in makes a huge difference, and now all of a sudden, it's it's like Chicago's midway. I mean, we've shut it down. We've great, but he was still a good coach way before all of that happened. He knows how to get the most of his play.
Chicago's defense was good before Khalil Mack came, but obviously Khalil Mack takes it to a different level. And the question is, does he become the head coach of the Denver Broncos without that? And then the other point here is that people have just been talking about how the perception of a lot of the general managers behind the scenes have kind of escaped past some of the criticism. With whether you're looking at the teams, You know who they are. You know who they are. You don't have to. You see, I stopped myself. Okay. But teams that have multiple head coaches.
John Elway, Tampa Bay. We can say them. We're letting go of a lot of coaches, and you're still here.
And you're still here, or whether you had personal problems off of the football field behind the scenes as a general manager. You're still, and not to say that everyone does it, is perfect and doesn't have situations. But what I'm saying is the talk is there that we're going to see this at the end of the season behind the scenes, in front of the scenes, what the record is going to say. You made the analogy with the comparison to television and high-powered agents that get certain talent here at ESPN, NFL Network. But at the end of the day, you can't argue the ratings. It's at the end of the day, that's going to speak no matter how much
here's the best part. If you lock general managers and head coaches together, what would you have then? When one gets fired, the other gets fired. Think about how that would look in the NFL. I mean, so often you don't know where the power struggle is going, and who has stayed above the fray? Bill Belichick.
Exactly. If I'm looking at an organization,
I mean, you think about the years of consistency. Now, it may have failed, but it hasn't. It has shown. But he's the guy, and he's the guy at everything. The buck stops with him. I'm all about let's be linked.
He has the last word on everything, too.
Yes,
absolutely.
Yes.
Susie, one last point. I just want to say, with this job that's opening in Cincinnati, when you're talking about filling defensive coordinators for that job, one thing I think that doesn't get discussed, that is being discussed behind the scenes, is also matching the right coordinator with the actual players. You're talking about a team that has Vontaze Burfict, Dre Kirkpatrick, Del Rio Nolan, whoever's coming in, Manuel.
Got to have that.
Does that coordinator actually fit the players?
No, it's so key, the right fit above all. Okay, still on the way. As the Rams prepare for the Patriots in the Super Bowl, we're going to sit down with Jared Goff, discuss his young career in the NFL. That's next.
And then my third game, we played Tom in New England. It was the same thing. It was like, I need to watch this. I need to see how he operates and how he does things.